Noob School. All right, welcome back to Noob School. Today I've got a friend going back over 20 years, Bobby Dhillon. Welcome aboard, Bobby.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks
so
for coming.
happy to be here.
Yeah, and you came down from Charlotte, right?
I did.
Good. Bobby's one of the most successful people that we've worked with over the years, both while he was at DataStream and then beyond with the multiple different things you've done. So let's, as usual, let's start kind of where you are now, then we'll back up at the beginning and work through it. So now I know you're VP of Sales for one of the Workday companies or a Workday consulting company.
That's right. That's right. We implement Workday.
You implement Workday.
Yeah.
And Workday is a web-based ERP company?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who started that?
It was Anil Bhusri and, it's going to kill me. I can't believe Dave Duffield. Gosh,
Dave Duffield, right. So he was the PeopleSoft.
That's exactly right.
Okay, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. It's just amazing when you think about the software business. You know, when PeopleSoft came out, you thought there's no room for another ERP company. And then PeopleSoft comes out and kill it. And you think, well, that's got to be it. And the same guy comes out with Workday. It does the same thing, but it's on the web, and it's SaaS. It kills it again.
John, it's such a cool story. You know, I think people know with PeopleSoft, with Larry Ellison, it was more of a hostile takeover of PeopleSoft, and Duffield didn't have the 51% ownership in it, right? So the shareholders were like, okay, we want to sell because the number was so high. Yeah. And so they didn't want to sell, but they had to. And then many years later, Dave Duffield and Anil Bhusri are sitting at a cafe, and they're looking at each other and saying, hey, listen, you know, SaaS is out. You know, we've got an opportunity. We have a blank piece of paper. Should we go for it again and kick Oracle's tail, you know, essentially? I'm sure there were different words used. And so they started it. Yeah. And literally the first sales that were made, I was there when I think Workday had about 220 customers, so I was really early. And our story wasn't about the product. It was really about Dave Duffield and PeopleSoft. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how we sold initially. Yeah. Really cool. Yeah.
So it's easier to use, less expensive, web-based accounting ERP package.
Yeah, I don't know if it's less expensive, but yeah, it's certainly an easier to use solution because of SaaS. Yeah.
Yeah, and web-based.
Yeah.
What do you think the next? You know, we've gone from mainframes to mini computers to PCs to client server. And then with the web, it's the latest thing, the web and the SaaS. Everyone's just rewriting the old packages and making them web. What do you think the next thing is?
Man, John, that's hard because even in the Workday environment right now, I mean, it just continues to improve in the SaaS environment, right? And so the big difference between the on-premise solutions to the SaaS is that everything's configurable versus customizable, right? So business users can get in there and actually use the solution versus IT like back in the day when we had to talk to the IT folks. Right. It's hard to tell, man. I don't have that kind of vision.
I don't either. I don't know. They get Web 3.0 or AI something. We'll just sell whatever they give us. How about that?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So you're doing that now out of Charlotte, and so you're tied at the hip with Workday, which is a great company. But let's go all the way to high school. Where'd you grow up and where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina on Paris Mountain.
On Paris Mountain?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I went to Wade Hampton.
Wade Hampton.
What's happening?
How long did it take to get to Wade Hampton from Paris Mountain?
Oh, man. So, John, it was a 3-mile drive down from Paris Mountain, which we drove in the dark and in the snow and scary, scary evenings, you know, with buddies. I'd say probably about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. That's not too bad.
No, it's just more about the mountain coming up and down.
Yeah. How was Wade Hampton?
Fun.
It was fun?
It was fun.
Good school?
I don't know if it was a defined good school.
It was fun.
It was a fun school. No, it was good. I mean, I had a lot of friends that carried over and I still keep in touch with, so it was a fun school.
So what year did you graduate from Wade Hampton?
90.
90, okay. And then where'd you go to school?
Citadel.
You went to Citadel. Like your brother went there, or your brother.
Yep.
So you went to Citadel. I did too. Both went there. I wasn't there the same time you were.
Nope.
I just missed you.
No, but I saw your poster. Duncan or Jordan was involved.
He was involved. That's right. That's close enough.
Yeah.
That's close enough. And why did you pick the Citadel?
Gosh, you know what? Look, my parents were major influences in our life. And my brother went there. So my brother got a Citadel Scholar Award when he was at Wade Hampton, and so he ended up going there. And I was kind of a clown in high school, so, you know, as it was progressing towards the time when I was only a year behind him,
Yeah.
John. So as we were moving towards the time of making decisions to go to college, I was like, you know what? I'll just go to the Citadel. I mean, that's literally how it went down.
You're like, all right.
And John, honestly, I remember getting, you know, the letter and my father saying, hey, Bobby, the letter's here from Citadel. And that's the only place I applied.
Yeah.
I remember my buddies were waiting for me outside in the driveway going to the lake. And I opened that piece of paper and I just looked at my parents and said, okay, I got in. And then I put it down and I went with my friends. You know, I wasn't necessarily excited about going to the Citadel, but it was good.
It's strange. Different people have different, you know, some people are like gung-ho about going and they're doing their push-ups and running and stuff. I was kind of in denial. Even though I decided to go there, I still was like, I was
kind of basketball scholarship.
I was,
so
but
it's different. Yeah.
I was in denial that I was going there until the very day.
Yeah.
And there was that book, The Guidon. Remember that? So they sent me the Guidon in the mail. And, of course, I didn't read it.
Right.
Okay. I didn't even, you're supposed to memorize the whole thing. I didn't even open it up. So I'm there, you know, the first week, and they're screaming at me, and they're asking me if I know some such and such rule. And I'm like, no, sir, I don't know the rule. I said, well, didn't you read The Guidon? And I'm like, what, sir? He says, you know that book, The Guidon. And I swear I said, do you mean the Gideon? I didn't even know how to pronounce it, Bobby.
Oh, my God.
I got in a little trouble for that one.
Oh.
Got a little trouble for that one.
John, you even went at a time, I would say, like, when I graduated, that was the year Shannon Faulkner was starting to pray to go into Citadel. So she got into 95. I graduated in 94. So, I mean, I think there's been levels of, like, just, you know, probably getting a little easier as you go up to the point when I was probably there. So I can't imagine, you know.
Well, you know, the old guys always had it harder. That's the way it is.
That's what we say.
Now, I think this is true, but what's your brother's name?
Ricky.
Ricky. Now, didn't I meet him like in a class one time? Like I was teaching an entrepreneurial class or something.
No, you met my brother-in-law, Amit.
He's a dentist?
Ricky's a dentist here, but you met my brother-in-law years later, 15 years younger than me, John. So this was not...
Okay. Did I meet him down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did, and he told me. He told me about it. That's super cool.
Yeah.
He ended up going there just to keep the legacy going.
That's good. But I did have a meeting with your brother, and he'll remember this. I was teaching a class, or, you know, a guest teacher at a class, and it was a class on business or something. And, of course, I went around the room and just said, okay, what's your name and what's your plan? You know, and they would say, well, you know, I'm Joe Brown, and I'm not sure yet. I mean, that was most people. But your brother, he says, you know, I'm Ricky Dhillon, and I'm already accepted to med school, and I'm going to be a dentist, and I'm going to live in Greenville. And I'm like, you're excused, sir. You know, John, he had a plan.
That's the problem. That's what I had to grow up with right there, John. And
he was always prepared.
He was so prepared, and I was like, just like that kid that was like, I don't know, I just want to run around a little bit.
Yeah.
But he got accepted to dental school. He didn't even have to go to the last semester at the Citadel, and still got his degree and diploma and everything. And he was partying in Columbia for the last semester. He did it right.
Well,
you know?
I'll say something, Bobby. People are different, right? No one's better than another, but some people are just like, I would say out of 100 people, maybe 10, maybe 15 are like that, but maybe it's 10 where they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to the Marine Corps, I'm going to be in for 20 years, I'm going to get out and move home to Omaha. I mean, they got some kind of plan like that.
Yeah.
But most of us don't.
Yeah.
And this book helps people figure it out between like psychological profiling and teaching them how to do shadowing jobs and figuring out, you know, what they like and trying to match all that up to figure out, oh, maybe this might be good for me. If you don't already know you want to be a dentist, you know, we help them figure that out. I wish I had someone helping me do that when I was getting out, because I didn't know.
Yeah, you know what's really cool, John, and I don't want to divert, the questions here that you may have, but when I decided that I didn't want to go to dental school, because I was a biology major, and I told you my parents were big influences, in everything that we did, and the push was really, go be a doctor.
Yeah.
So I was a biology major. So I went through all the pain as a biology major through the 4 years at
Yeah.
Citadel, and I actually got into dental school. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
And I had to go tell my dad. I remember days I would sit in Charleston. I went to a movie by myself one night, and I saw some friends that were like, "What are you doing?" I was literally trying to figure out how I was going to tell my father,
Yeah.
more than my mother, that, hey, I don't want to do it, and so that's when, after I went through that iteration with my father, and he handled it pretty well. He's like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't know. I want to do something more on the business side." So we met with Brent Stewart over at the Citadel,
Yeah.
who's the career development
Yeah.
for everyone else. And he said, "Listen," he goes, "there's this startup company in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
It's called DataStream, and the VP of sales there is a Citadel guy."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I think you may fit in well there."
Yeah.
And my dad knew Larry Blackwell,
Okay.
which was crazy. It just
Okay.
happened to be all
Yeah.
these pieces. And I remember coming, and I was like, I'd like to try it,
Yeah.
go talk to him. So I met with you,
Yeah.
and I took the Kobe test,
Yeah.
and all those things, and that's how it transpired.
That's wild.
So,
That's wild. How did your dad know Larry?
because my dad was a plant manager, for Herc Celanese.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah,
He and-
Larry. Yeah.
yeah,
Larry,
water
I think
treatment.
Larry's previous company would have sold them like environmental
That's
consulting
it.
or that kind of stuff.
That's it.
Yeah. And so I did not know that. And so you graduated 95,
94.
94. That was really the beginning of the Citadel pipeline, wasn't it? I mean, there was,
John, I'll tell the story because I have to. I mean, we have to tell some data stream
Sure,
stories
that's
because
fine.
I mean I learned so much. But my first year there, after getting my father to agree, and I had a really good year.
yeah.
My first good year,
Yeah, of course you
there,
did.
and you helped me and you built the foundation, got me started. And I remember my dad saying, "Wow, okay, you don't have to go to med school." I remember this whole conversation very clearly,
Yeah.
But I tell you, like, from the couple things, and I want to say this because it's so important. How many people you've mentored, to get to where they are and actually enjoy their careers based on foundation is impressive. There are a couple things that you've said to me in my life that still ring in my ears.
Let's just hear them. This is good.
Yeah, man. So, I the way I sell, even now, and what you taught me then, and how I could really digest what you were telling me was I'm a very macro seller. I'm not a devil I'm not the details,
Right,
kind of guy. And
right.
so, for me, it's always about, okay, I've got to get macro and start building strategy. So when we get micro, I can bring in the right people, and that trust is already built.
Right.
And so you had questions on these scripts, and I've got a lot of stories on these scripts, specifically about one individual, but I can't bring it up on this. But the what's the main reason
Yeah.
stuff, those were super critical as far as just trying to get people to start thinking and pinpointing, you in a conversation. But I would tell you that just on the level of listening.
Yeah.
The things that you would do in our calls, like I sat with someone else and I saw you beat down some people, for not following the script.
Yeah.
And I used to tell the person that I'm referring to here, follow the script, man.
Yeah.
All he wants you to do is just read it,
Yeah.
even if it's awkward.
Yeah.
But people ask me, where I feel like are the strengths in sellers, and patience is the strength, right? Listening, digesting, and prescribing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned that from you, man.
Well, that's
So,
good. That's good.
yeah.
I think what you just said about the patience is something that I've learned over the years. Because when we were working together and starting out, we were selling a lower end product, and it was a faster sales cycle. So we would just kind of roll through. And now, of course, it's a strategic advantage to go slow. Not try to get the customer to bite off too much of a conversation at once. Just inch your way forward. I'm sure you're very adept at that.
Well, John, I'll tell you, there's so much more competition.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Everything looks the same.
Yeah.
Everyone's good.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
Salespeople are good these days,
Yeah.
and the SCs are good. So.
So let's think about the career now. So you you crushed your first year, and then you kept doing it for a little while, and then what happened? I don't remember.
I came to you, and I said, John, I'm bored.
You're bored.
I do remember. I know you've had so many conversations with other sales, individuals, but I came to you and I told you I was bored, and you said, well, go start your own thing.
Huh.
You said, go start your own thing, and I mean, literally, that was like a freaking confidence, just surging, through me. But then I told you, listen, John, I got a biology degree. Eli Lilly offered me a job, and through a friend, and I said, I want to go try it out. You said, go try it, but you'll be back to me.
Huh.
And I came back to you in 9 months.
9 months.
9 months. I did well in the farm. It was just slow.
Just didn't like it.
It was slow.
Yeah.
Very slow.
It would make sense. I mean, for you to be selling in the medical field with a biology degree, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was just boring.
Yeah.
Even more boring, And
Yeah.
I think I was just looking for something to, inject excitement. So I don't know if you remember, but started a company in Charlotte, North Carolina, called with Varying Technologies.
Yeah.
And then we created a e-procurement solution called iProcure.
Yeah.
No, we did that at DataStream.
Yeah.
We called it Procure It.
Procure it.
At Varying Technology. I've been with so many different, products. And so we did that. I was dialing for dollars, literally. I was turning a phone book, just dialing. And so we started making sales.
Yeah.
I went very specific into physician organizations, and I was able to make a few sales. And you and I talked again, and you said, Bobby, how y'all doing? And I told you, I said, we're making sales. And you asked, should I invest in you?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have that much confidence for you to take money out of your pocket to invest in us, based on the fact that we were still trying to get money from a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And you told me, look, Bobby, forget that. Come over to DataStream and we'll start the same thing within DataStream, right? You sold me back into coming to DataStream. And so I came back to DataStream for, iProcure.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just kind of.
From there, that was, I mean, you obviously, I think when you took the Colby test, the psychological profile, you tested very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So it was no surprise to me that you wanted to try some different things, some startups, do your own thing, whatever. Going to medical made sense from your major perspective, but not from an entrepreneurial perspective.
Exactly.
Right? It was like slowed things down even more. And so you came back to us to help us with the internet revolution.
Yeah.
Or other people might call it the dot-com, crash or whatever. But we all went hard at that. And obviously when the thing blew up, the thing crashed kind of globally, we did some different things. And you at that time, as I recall, we got into the real estate?
Yeah, John. It all came from the DataStream and Citadel world, right? John Hillman and.
Dhillon was already doing it?
Yeah, he was in Hawaii. We talked one time, and he was like, Bobby, I'm about to go try this thing out, and it seems surreal.
Yeah.
And if it works, I'm going to call you, and you're going to come do this with me. And it just panned out where, it was surreal, John. I mean, what I was doing was we were hired by REITs to come, sell pre-construction, ultra-luxury projects to Forbes-type individuals, right? People that you could look up. And first project I did was in Dallas, building a Ritz-Carlton residences. It had 65 residences, and we were pre-selling them for like $500 per square foot.
So let me back up there, because I know I came and saw you out there, because Todd Lorbach was out there, and there was a Ritz-Carlton on the bottom and the condos on the top, right?
That's right.
So if you had a condo, you had all the amenities of the Ritz.
That's right.
The room service, the spa,
That's right.
That's pretty nice.
John, I got to tell you, I recruited Todd. I called him into New York. That's a whole different story. And I was like, please come. But so your macro to micro, conversation that I was referring to, I applied it directly to, those sales, because we're selling dirt, but we're selling a dream. Yeah. Right. And so we had to talk about the investment aspect of it, the neighborhood versus the condos themselves. And proved out pretty, we're successful.
It's a successful project.
Several of them we did, even with that, so, yeah.
And so how long were you selling that project before it was complete?
Well, we were selling for about a year.
A year.
A year.
While it's getting built and all?
before. So we had to sell a certain percentage before the loan would even
break ground. Wow. So you had to sell like 20%.
45%.
45%. And then they break ground, and then they're not going to finish it till you're at 70% or whatever.
That's right.
That's so wild.
That's right. So what they do is they make sure that they've got the loan piece for the downstroke squared away.
Yeah.
In the second tower, so we had so much success in the first, they built a second tower out there, in which we had to sell 65%
Oh, wow.
of it. So we were able to do it. There's 2 towers up.
500 a foot?
Well, that's what we averaged $644 per square foot in the first tower, which was the most in Dallas at that time, like by $300 per square foot. Second tower was about $750, and now they're doing it for $1,000 per square foot, $1,200 in Dallas.
Wow.
So
That's crazy. So
neat.
you transitioned from software to, let's call it, web-based internet procurement to high-end real estate, condo, kind of high-end condo real estate for high net worth individuals. So now, what did you learn about dealing with, like, people who have 50 million, 100 million, $1 billion? What are they like?
Yeah, John, it was probably the most fun I've had selling. Because we in the technology world, we're looking to get to those individuals so we can get the decisions made in software. And here we are, we're dealing with those decision makers with spouses.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
You're right there we need to be. Yeah.
That's right. And we had to one thing that you do learn is that they're people, right?
Yeah.
That have had a journey in life, and they're wanting to share those journeys if you're willing to listen.
Yeah.
And you're willing to ask them the questions.
Right.
You learn that they got to their positions because they worked their butts off. It's just not something that was given to them and what we see on TV or in the paper about them.
Yeah.
You learn that, there's certain things that they're great business people, number one, and you see what they focus on. That's probably not as important to you and I. That's important to them because of what they've done in their day-to-day.
Right.
But you also learn that, hey, listen, they focus on investment, the individuals that are actually writing the check. And then you've got the emotional side with the spouse. And how do you bring those two together? And if you can learn that piece and you can get them to start saying, hey, let's take you out to dinner and tell our story to you, then you feel like you're in good position.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, I haven't had that much exposure as you have, but I've had some, and it seems like, the vast majority of the people with that kind of money, they're business owners.
Yeah.
Generally, they're not surgeons or something. Those people are rich, but that kind of, 50 million, 100 million, they own businesses, and they've run them for a long time and compounded that over 15, 20, 30 years, and now they got serious jack.
There was a lot of oil
money in Dallas, anyway.
In Dallas, and then I'll give you 2 different perspectives. Like the business owners would come in, and you'd see a certain type of personality with the business owners, right, and a certain levity towards them and energy, and the wanting to share. And then I have like an Exxon executive come in that's went through the corporate structure and the stresses associated with it. Multiple bypasses, things like that. They'll share so you see a lot of that as well.
Yeah. Did you ever work with Mike Thacker on one of these jobs? I know he was in the same.
No, I didn't. I think he was with IMI.
He was with IMI.
We were with a spinoff called Traditions Management.
Well, he used to tell me, in fact, I saw this happen. We were at a party one time, and this guy walked up that he didn't know. I knew who it was. He was from Atlanta. He looks at me and goes, money. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, that guy's loaded. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, he is. But how do you know? And he's like, just look, the jeans, just a few things that got the kind of brands he was wearing. And he was wearing jeans. Yeah. But Thacker could tell, just like that.
John, one of the cool things about that job was when I say you get to know them, you really get to know them, and you become friends, sort of, or they become mentors in a way, younger for the most part. And, you know, I still have the relationships with some of them where they're investing in my in-laws' hotel business.
Nice.
You know, so we keep the strings there.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty cool to be able to say that we're friends that way, where people know them. Literally, I'll go to breakfast with one of them, and, you know, in Dallas, and he'll introduce me as an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And everyone's trying to get his money, you know, because they're trying to get him to invest and things. It's really cool. But look, John, you're there, and, you know, obviously Larry, so I think you guys, you know, all sip from the same cup. So
Well, we're always trying to learn, you know, always trying to learn. And so after Dallas, what was your next area? Was it Atlanta?
No, I stayed in Dallas, so I did the real estate for 8 years, and then I was working weekends. We were having kids, you know, my wife and I. We have 3 now, but at that point, 2 little ones and I was just tired, you know. I mean, just the weekend run and then the weekdays, because you're always on in real estate. Yeah. You have to be there when they want to see you.
Right.
Traditionally, it's weekend.
Can we go see it Sunday morning around 9?
Yeah, and we want to see it at a certain time when the sun's coming out, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And so at that same time where I was considering a change, a recruiter from technology, it just happened. A recruiter called me that I'd worked with for a long time, David Aiken. You may know the name. He reached out and he was like, "Hey, Bobby, what are you doing?" He goes, "There's this really cool company I need to introduce you to." And I said, "Man, I've been out of the game for 8 years." And he goes, "They're only taking Oracle and SAP people." He goes, "But I can maybe get you in the door." And it was Workday. You know, and they were still a private organization, so there was an opportunity to get stock. And, you know, I learned that from you, man.
Sure.
I got that bug early.
Right.
And so I got in. I was lucky. I was fortunate enough to get in with the organization and be able to take advantage of them going public, and I ran hard with them for 3 years.
3 years. And then you flip that to a Workday consulting company.
Yeah, they deliver, so they consult, and we deliver Workday. So we're all part of the Workday ecosystem, still family.
Right.
I knew the CEO, and he's like, "Hey, come over here and let's start this." So
Yeah, so you've really been either in software or the high-end real estate. And a lot of, you know, not a lot, but quite a few of our people jumped into that high-end real estate when it was just remarkably hot.
Yeah.
There was a moment there where it was really, you know, you could move to Hawaii and triple your income. It's like, oh, no one asked me to go. I might do that. So you've had a really strong career and very consistent results anyway.
yeah, been fortunate.
So let's talk about interviewing for a second. What kind of things have you noticed as someone who's interviewed people, and sometimes you have to interview or you've had to interview? What are some like do's and don'ts, things that will help people get hired, things they shouldn't do that can help people that are listening today?
You know, John, I think it goes back to how we sell, right? I mean, I think it takes they have to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's absolutely critical. They have to listen, they have to digest, and they have to come back with something that, you know, makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Prescribe, you know, how they would manage to a situation, et cetera. I think storytelling's extremely important.
Yeah.
You know, just in general, I feel like if you have something that you can share that's relevant and concise, I think that's important as well. You know, when I interview at different, you know, opportunities, you know, for startups with CEOs and founders, et cetera, you know, I wait for the question to take place, and I have to take my time and maybe ask a question back, right, if I don't necessarily know what I'm going to say. Right, so just be patient through the process, have stories of your success, be relevant, and don't talk too much.
Don't talk too much. Yeah, I mean, I you know, there's the mute, and there's the person who talks way too much, and there's somewhere in the middle. I think you want to lean toward the mute, you know.
Agree.
And just calmly be cool about it. When people start talking too much, it's a red flag.
You ring in my head when you talk when you're talking too much, you're effing up. You said. I mean,
right.
you said.
And you could you while you're talking, all of a sudden your brain's going, "You're talking too much.
Yeah.
You're messing up, man.
Just stop."
Yeah.
I find myself still doing it every now and then. I feel like I am. Maybe I'm not. But in the middle of a sentence, I'll just pause.
Yeah.
And to be honest, people just want to hear themselves.
I know. Tell me more.
You can go to an interview maybe and say 5-10 words,
Yeah.
and that person's talked the entire time,
Yeah.
and you've got the job because you listen to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes.
you've always been a good listener. That's for sure. Let's see. What's your favorite word, Bobby?
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Yeah. You remember, John, when we got to write on the back Citadel ring. I've lost 2 of them, by the way. I need to get another one, but gold's so high priced right now.
What's that?
My Citadel ring.
Oh, yeah?
I've lost 2.
You've lost another one?
I've lost 2, and I've called them to see because gold's so high in price right now. I'm like, okay, I can't.
How did
I
you
can't
lose
keep
it?
I lost one in the ocean in the Bahamas,
Uh-huh.
and another one at a gym. You know, I left it in my bag, and someone went in my.
Someone took it out of the
I
bag?
I didn't like it. Sore subject, but yeah, my wife reminds me of it all the time.
Oh, man.
But you remember we could write on the back
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
a ring,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
What'd you write on the back?
It's horrible. It's one of my most, I'm going to get it redone.
What'd you write?
It's like my major, I mean, like political science.
That's
I
what
mean,
you wrote on the back?
Yeah, and then my name. It's like, that's the lamest thing ever. I'm going to change that.
As smooth as you are, that's
I know.
what you.
I wasn't thinking that day. I was like, what am I, okay, put something down. But I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it to absolutely is going to be my word.
I know absolutely
Yeah.
would be your. I could see that
Yeah.
for sure. I put desire to prevail.
There you go.
You
In the
know,
ring.
In the ring.
Very nice.
Yeah. So perseverance.
Yeah.
Just keep going, man.
And what are they charging for a new ring these days?
It's like $1,600.
$1,600? They used to be like $400.
$460. When I bought my second one, it was like $670. Now it's $1,600.
So what about getting one like used? Can you buy a used one and then
Pawn shop? Mine's probably in two.
you can resize it or something, you know?
And they don't look the same, so that's part
So
of it.
this, here's the deal though. That looks kind of shiny, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've cheated a little bit.
What'd you do?
I have a jeweler friend.
Oh, of course you
Put it in the tumbler. Because I want that,
Yeah.
that
shine, yeah.
well, the big shine on it.
Yeah. Well, it looks good.
Yeah, I think so too. So don't tell anyone.
That's
I'm
funny.
using the jeweler and the tumbler.
That is
Shine
fantastic.
that thing up. This is like the shiny. I've never had shiny brass, so it's got shiny ring. And then, is there anything you want to promote today?
No, I mean, the only thing I would say is that for, whoever wants to, who's listening, I mean, I can leave an email address or put it on your online. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to talk about just different things and transitions in life. Even now, John, I'm going through probably the most unique transition I've ever been through.
Yeah.
As a VP of sales right now, over the past 8-9 months, I've been doing a ton of soul searching.
Yeah.
And you and I chatted about this a little bit.
Yeah,
But, I'm in a position of really demoting myself to promote myself in life.
Yeah.
I miss just selling.
Right. right.
You go through all these things and iterations.
Right.
And what did I do? And
Yeah,
I think the beauty of sales, just generally speaking, for new people that are coming into it, you're the CEO of your own world.
exactly.
That's it.
You've got your own business.
That's it, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, Bobby's talking about, and we've talked about this a little bit before on the Noob School, is salespeople have 3 paths they can take. They can kind of go I'm going to be a sales manager one day. They can say, I'm going to be a business owner one day, both of which comes with tremendous baggage and headaches and payroll and people quitting and, all that stuff you got to deal with. Or they can say, I'm going to be a professional salesperson. It's my own business. I can make as much money as I want. I can take off any afternoon I want to. And what Bobby's saying is he's probably going to do that at his company and just see what his life is like without the responsibility of VP of sales.
John, I'm already doing it.
You're doing it.
It's effective beginning of the year.
All
and I
right.
got to tell you, man, my shoulders are.
feel better?
I'm just so relaxed.
That's awesome. Well, you can come see us more often.
I will, absolutely.
All
I
right.
appreciate
Well, that's
it.
good. Well, we appreciate you being here, man. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you. And now that I know where you are, we got to get you here more often for some golf, or not that you got all this free time. Play some golf or something.
Sell a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
But thank you very much. We appreciate you and appreciate your friendship.
Man, I appreciate everything you've done for me.
All right, man.
Really.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
John.
All right.